Awesome. I think we're good to get started. Shreya, I'll give you sharing access in a bit. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining in. We're going to talk about how you can build AI agents using Cursor. And it's going to be a great session. And we got really very prominent engineer who is a Cursor ambassador and an AI engineer, Shrey, with us, who has been consulting quite a lot of companies, including fast-growing AI startups, how to use AI agents. And we're going to see how we can build with a very simple prompt from scratch, how you can build an AI agent and bit about fundamentals about the AI agents as well. So yeah, without further ado, I think I'll share the screen with Shrey. Give me a second.
Hi everyone. Uh, Thank you, Aki, for the introduction. I'm going to be talking about how to build AI agents with Cursor and LangGraph. So we are going to be using LangGraph as our main orchestration framework for developing the agent. So before I develop the agent, I wanted to just kind of give a brief overview about different AI agent patterns and how we're going to go about those things. So we're going to create something quite similar to Cursor. Or Cursor's agent. The only difference being that we're going to give it different tools. So instead of writing code, it's going to be able to do, whatever we ask it to do. But basically, the core component of the AI agent is, first of all, a tool. In this case, I give it a very naive tool for explanation, like a web search tool. After you get the web search tool, basically you need to call the language model. So here, in this case, I'm going to be calling OpenAI, as you can see on this line. So I'm basically saying call OpenAI with these tools, and this tool is basically in this specific instance, it just has access to the web search tool. Um, so I'm saying call OpenAI with this tool. So it's going to call the OpenAI. If there is a tool call, it's going to execute the tool call. If there is no tool call, it's going to give you a response back. And this is a invoke tool node or execute tool node, meaning that when this OpenAI decides that it needs to call a tool, it is going to use this node or use this function to execute that tool. That's all we are doing here. Nothing fancy. And then here we're just checking, as I mentioned earlier, that if there is a tool call in this uh, function, then we're going to call the tool. Otherwise, we are just going to end the loop, and which is going to give the control back to the user. That's all this is. It's a very simple agent. This is how Cursor agent is developed as well. It just has access to sophisticated tools. But in terms of the architecture, it's the exact same architecture. And then in order to actually like save the information or save the thread or have long-term memory, we're going to be using Postgres as the check pointer. So everything that we say, all the conversation will also get stored in the uh, Postgres saver. So that's the high-level architecture of the agent, and then I'm going to be going over the prompt that I'm going to be using to create the agent as well. Let me scroll all the way to top. So it's a really long prompt, but basically it just says that you're an expert LangGraph engineer. You're an expert in creating React style or Workflow style agents. So there are two types of agents. One is a React type agent, which is what I just showed, where it's very dynamic. It kind of makes its own decisions and then figures out the next path to take or next tool to call. And I'm not gonna go over this because we just went over this. Then there's another type of agents as well, kind of like workflow pattern, where um what path you want the agent to take. So this is kind of like chaining of requests. You get output from um, one LLM call, you pass that output to the second one, that gets passed on to the other nodes depending on your logic. Basically, if you really want to understand this in a nutshell, uh, look at this one. So this is an AI agent, workflow agent that helps students learn better. So here it just basically says that um, you have to assess And then based on the assessment, you should check if the user is asking you to transcribe a YouTube video, or if it's asking you to transcribe an audio call, or if it's asking you to do something else. But here we are defining all of that logic ourselves. Um, so this can get pretty complex based on what we intend to do. But my prompt has information about the different kinds of patterns we are aiming for. So it should be able to create all the types of agents based on the request that you give it. And then in the end, I have comparative analysis for both the patterns. It knows that, okay, what are the pros and cons of taking one approach versus the other, so that when you give it, uh, so that when you get a task to build an agent, it knows, it figures out like, okay, what are the drawbacks and pros of basically uh, creating one kind of pattern, one kind of agent versus the other. And then here I'm just outlining, what are needed in order to create the agents in a very simple words. And then same thing for the workflow pattern agent as well. And then basically in the end, I'm also giving you information about, this is just a schema. I don't think this is it is the same thing, just repeated in a form of template. But in the end, I wanted to show you guys this. Apart from that, I'm also giving it this LangGraph.json file, which will basically bring up the UI for me. So with this one line of 4 to 5 lines of JSON, it's going to give us the UI as well for our agent. And then I'm just giving instructions about like where my Postgres is living, what is my database connection URL locally, and then just asking it to use the LangGraph command to automatically open up the server for me, and then just about requirements and stuff like that that you could possibly have in the agent. And yeah, so that's my prompt that I use to basically create the agents. Now, enough talking. I want to get in action and actually show you guys um, how to create this agent. So here, um, so I've added this custom mode in Cursor. So if I edit this, you can see that I have given it access to search, edit, and run tools. So it should be able to search the code base, edit the files in the workspace, and run the commands as well. And in the advanced options, I have enabled auto and auto fix errors. And then I have given the exact same prompt that I just showed you guys earlier. So now I'm going to delete everything and kind of just clean up the branch. I'm going to make sure of one more thing, that the changes are synced, so it doesn't have any residue files. I'm just going to index the documents to make sure that it doesn't have anything. And then I don't like the agents fixing the links automatically. In this case, when it's first building things, I'm just going to turn this option off. So it just focuses on building the agent and nothing else. So now we have things set up. So I can say something like, create company research agent for me. It should be able to access, should be able to use web search and also the URLs. And I'm just gonna say also, like, I already have that .env file with Devini and OpenAI piece. So here I'm being a little bit ambiguous because I want the agent to kind of go in detail for me and kind of just draft the entire agent, and I'm not even sure about my requirements here. So I'm just being very ambiguous here, just saying, hey, can you just create a company research agent for me? And then I'm just mentioning the number of tools it should have access to, or what it should be able to do. So I'm just saying like, just use web search or read URLs. And then I'm just saying like, use this Davide and OpenAI keys, and I have environment file for that already. And then For the model, I'm just gonna pick Opus here. That works really, really best when you're ambiguous. And now just with hitting this, it should set up the environment for me and then just start creating the agents. As you can see, it's setting up the environment for me. So the agent that we are creating is quite similar to this agent that's creating this agent, because the only difference between this agent that we are creating and custom agent is that our agent is going to have access to web search and read URLs. Versus agent has access to all these different tools, as I showed earlier, like read files, edit files, run commands, and stuff like that. But it's very well capable of doing the exact same thing that Cursor is doing. So if I were to give it MCP tools, it would just do the exact same thing as Cursor is doing. Right? So it understood based on our requirements that it should create an agent using the React pattern. And then it started creating the agent. So I'm hoping to wrap this entire agent up, bootstrap it in just about 3 to 4 minutes. Let's just wait for 1 more minute here while it is done. Reading this. And then I'm going to also talk about why I picked LangGraph as a framework for this demo and not OpenAI SDK or something else. But it looks like it's done creating the agent. I asked it to not fix the lint errors, but it's doing that anyway for some reason. Anyway, should be fine. All right, so now it's creating the LangGraph.json. Read me for the agent as well. So it's setting up everything for me, so it's easier for me to follow later on as well. It's going to accept everything. All right, so it started the server for us. So I'm going to open this up, and yeah, that should start the LangGraph Studio. All right, let's just make sure that agent is done doing its thing. It's also creating the test. It's running a query as well to make sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. And then once it's done doing this, I think we're gonna go straight into it and see like how well it works. That's fine. We're just gonna stop this from here, and then we're gonna go straight into the agent. All right. So that's how the graph looks like. So it makes it really easy to see the graph on the UI side. And then I can also click on the chat here and actually just chat with the agent. Here I can say, can you tell me, I don't know, I'll just say, can you research about LangServe AI? And at this point, I haven't even checked if it created the correct tools or not, but I think while it's doing things, we can go and check what it actually ended up implementing. Yeah, so I created a web search for that, a read URL tool as we asked, and then call tools LLM, invoke tools, and yeah, then just all the other orchestration as you saw earlier, and let's just see if it actually works. Okay, so as you can see, you can actually see that for this, it actually tried to search something in the web, and then it got the data. It called AI to actually now read the URL as well. So it first searched the web, it got the URL from the web search, then it actually decided that, hey, I can probably get information from this from this URL and all these things. It now then call those things. Again, kept on reading the URLs to understand more about the company. And then in the end, actually gave me a pretty good answer about uh, the company. So it understood that it cannot just rely on one web search tool, but rather like, use web search, read the URLs, read some different thing, and then provide the final answer. So it kind of took its own path and figured it out. Now, let's say I wanted to also see, get into details about how this exactly work. So if I open it over here, open this thread ID, this, so I'm trying to also show this in the LangSmith. If not, I'll just open it myself. But if I open this here, we should see that over here as well. So trace is here, and you can actually see the path it took. So here you can actually see the prompts that went into the specific uh, system prompt and the user prompt. So that's what went behind the scenes. And then that's the human message, that's the AI message. And then based on this, it actually ended up taking the route for web search. And then it again called the tools here from the previous response. It found the URLs. It then read the URLs, again called the tools, LLM, basically OpenAI, to then form the final answer. So, and if you wanted to deploy this, I think you can also deploy this right here in LangSmith if you have their paid offering, LangGraph platform. But basically, yeah, so that's how we can create agents in just about 5 minutes. Um, and yeah, kind of also use this LangSmith UI and the LangGraph platform to chat with your agent directly and actually debug and see what's going on there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about the actual implementation. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys want to know more about how I created this agent exactly, feel free to reach out or ask me questions right now.
There was a question. Yeah, I think I saw a question before, but I think it's been cleared off. But yeah, it's the first question. Will this code be released somewhere? Um, yeah,
Yeah, I can.
yeah.
Are you referring to the actual agent that we built or the prompt?
I think probably the prompt, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Maybe like Evalio. Am I pronouncing your name correct?
yeah. I can
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for both if possible, but whatever you're willing to release.
Yeah, we can do that. So we'll send out an email after this session, so you can check both prompt and the output. So we can play around with it. So there are some caveats around it, like you need to have the OpenAI sort of like the key and then the search tool that was used. But apart from that, you should be able to run it on your own. Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
thanks.
And for the second question, I think this is an agent and not a workflow. The reason is we wanted it to be a little bit more dynamic. So I was really ambiguous in my prompt here. Can you research about windsurfing? Yeah, I did not give any specifics, right, on what I wanted it to do. So it had to like determine a lot of things and take its own path. So as you can see here, I did not ask it to do a web search and then read the URL. I just said, can you research about windsurfing AI? that was my my prompt, right? So here it it went to the web search. It then got the URLs from here automatically all on its own. I did not, prompt it for that. And then it decided that, hey, like I have this URLs, let me just call this read URL as well. And then, you know, read the URLs and then provided the final answer. So it's a bit more sophisticated without the workflow, right? So yeah.
There's another
Uh,
feature. Yeah, like I'll read it out. Can this be achieved fully without the UI and using just open source LangChain via code?
I mean, you can create the agent using LangChain via code, obviously. Um, you can obviously like run this without the UI as well. You just have to do agent.ai invoke, so you can do something like, I don't know, you compile the agents. I think it's compile. Yeah. So you can probably see here that you can do agent.ai invoke and then just give it your messages, and that's how you will also run this manually yourself if you wanted to. So it's also given you that example here. So if you execute this main function, you will not use the LangGraph UI. You can do this through Python as well. Uh, uh, but if your question is like not inside the cluster editor, then the answer is no, because in order for the agents to do this like autonomously, like you would need to give them access to, the code base edit tool, create files and stuff like that. It also has access to my terminal, so it can kind of make decisions on its own. Versus if you try to do this through LangChain or something, or sorry, ChatGPT or something, it can give you the agent code, but it might work, it might not. So yeah. And yes, the tracing is right inside the LangSmith. And that's the beautiful part. That's why I picked LangGraph, because I did not have to write anything for tracing. It just came with LangGraph framework. So that's why like it's really easy to build agents this way, because I created the agent, it came with the tracing, and then I can also deploy it right there um, here as well if I had a LangGraph platform, which I don't. But if I had LangGraph platform, I could also deploy this right there. And then you can also kind of, if you have a trace, you can also just directly run that in the studio as well, if you have LangGraph platform. Um, so that gives you a lot of abilities. And then one more thing you can do is like, you could also just, tune your prompts directly from here. So I could just say like, I don't know, I'll make this, I can change the instruction from here. So make this general purpose deep research. So it should just change the prompt. I don't have the API key right now, but if you provide your keys, it can actually just also prompt a generator for you right inside the LangSmith UI. So the entire ecosystem makes developing the agents extremely easy. If you want to set up evaluation for your agents to make sure that it always works the way you want it to, you can also set up evaluation right here. Everything is provided to you right here in the UI, so you don't even have to like go and do a lot of experimentation yourself. Um, so yeah, happy to take a few more questions if there are any. Yeah, I'm glad you found it useful.
Um, yeah, I think so. Just to sort of give some information. So in August, Shreya and I will be doing longer course. Like same session that we did today will be much more expanded. So you can ask more questions about around it, and also going into other sort of tools like this, Laravel, OpenAI, Codex, things like that. And we get like guest speakers from those tool providers as well. So you get to sort of talk to them and understand how you sort of properly prompt and use these tools to build much more production-ready applications, whether it's agents, whether it's web apps, so all sort of products. Yeah, so just want to highlight that as well. So, but we'll send an email about more information about that. Everybody who joins this call will get a discount as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think Pradip has like a bit of a broad question, but like if there are anything, Trey, you think you wanna so can you share some tips and tricks in Cursor if you're okay? So, but I think maybe
Yeah,
top three, because there's so many.
yeah, yes. I'm just gonna terminate the current LangGraph session and share my tips in Cursor. So I think you guys already saw one tip that I already kind of gave, which is this custom mode. So let's say you are I don't know, an iOS developer. So you know that you have a workflow or you're working on a feature in your company and kind of that's a repetitive pattern. So you could ask O3 Pro or O3 to analyze, your code base and then ask it to give you a template, kind of like how I showed in the prompt. So it should be able to create a template for your own writing style, for your own coding, and for your own project. Then you take that and create a custom mode in Cursor. Um, and then basically you can give it access to different tools. For example, like I have different MCP servers. So if I was a front-end dev, or if I had to create a mode for front-end development, I would give it MCP tools like ShadCN, Context7, Supabase, right? And then I would also give it testing tools like Playwright. So that will help the agent autonomously make decisions all on its own. So that's one of the, I think, tips that you can have. Do not enable all the MCP tools because that's going to pollute the context. So just only give it what it exactly needs, and that should do a really good job. So that's my first tip, that create your own custom modes to accelerate your workflow. My second tip is actually, this is my favorite feature of Cursor, which is this Git branch. So on a production environment, um, when you are working with a project, ideally, like, you would have your main code in the main branch, and then you will be working on a feature in the main branch. So you could do something with Cursor, and then after you keep working on it, your context will get full, and then you might have to open a new chat, because if you keep on going, your performance will degrade. So you could literally just do add branch to give Cursor context of what you've already done, and then you can continue from that point on. Another way I use branch is to actually do PR reviews. So let's say I'm done working with a specific feature, I can also then use the branch to do the PR review for me, or do the PR summary for me. So it can create the PR review and PR summary for me as well. Or let's say you're working on a feature and you broke something, you don't really know what happened. You can still use the branch to analyze the diff between the main and your current branch and figure out why that issue happened in your branch, right? So it can kind of also helps you with regression testing. I don't really use Codebase anymore, because the agent is smart enough to pull its own context. Make use of rules as much as you can. So maybe I can show quick use of the rules here. So for example, if I go to my rule section here, as you can see, I have some global rules. So these are all global rules that's going to be applied to all of my projects, not this one specific project. Let's say I wanted to have one rule for this specific project. So I'm just going to ask that, I think I need to create the project rule. So I'm going to go here and call it test, right? And here I'm probably going to say always apply. And then for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to say always and your response with a smiley face emoji, something like this, so that I can easily show you guys how it works. And for the sake of this, I'm just gonna pick agent, and then I can say hi, just to show the difference between the different kinds of rules. as you saw, it now responded with a smiley face. It's because it's always apply, right? Now I can make it apply intelligently when the user reads you. Use this. So, which means that the agent will see that this condition is true. And if this condition is true, then only it's going to do this. So, hi, I'm Shrey. So it should basically, oh, I did not save that. But yeah, as you can see, it actually called it to rule here. Yeah. You can already see that I actually use that rule automatically. So it kind of using that as a tool. Sorry, yeah, tool in my opinion. And if I, say something else, like what's the weather in NYC. In this case, I'm not greeting, so it should not call this tool. It's calling way too many tools. Maybe something else. I don't know. But you guys get the point. And then apply to specific files will only apply if I, give a globe pattern. So I can say .txt and it will then only apply when the .txt file is in the context. Similarly, apply manually is when I actually go here and manually pick the rules from the rules. So that's how the apply manual works. So you can, do different things based on what you intend to do. You can actually create an entire workflow. So you can have a React pattern agent, and actually the workflow pattern agent, you don't really need that because you can have a prompt that basically specifies the workflow, and your React agent should also execute that like a workflow as well. So you can do it through the rules. For example, you can go from ticket to PR using rules. I do that all the time where I have a ticket. I just ask it to implement the tickets that I have been assigned. It'll just go and implement those tickets for me, create the PR for me, update, Jira board for me as well, all on its own, just based on the rule. So rules are really, really powerful. Make use of them if you're not, because that will make all the difference. Without rules, I cannot use cursor. I think cursor is good if you use the rules properly. If you do not make up the rules properly, you might not be getting the full benefit of using cursor, because the context engineering that these guys have done is amazing. Cloud Core and any other tool is not able to give you the same level of blending control with your context as cursor, which is why I like cursor. Other than that, I think in the chat tab, you can enable this auto run mode, which will allow the agent to automatically do whatever it wants to do. So make sure that this is enabled. Apart from that, the thing that will probably be most impactful would be custom modes. You also enable this from settings. You can also queue messages or to-do list. For example, I could also say something like, I don't know, build me full stack app for, I don't know, water tracking. And then I can say use to-do list. So if I say something like this, it should be able to use the to-do list and queue messages, meaning that I can also just say make the UI beautiful. These are the new features. As you can see, this is pending. So after it's done creating this one, it's basically going to execute this command. So this makes it really helpful. And then you can also spin up another agent on the side, create a new tab. So something has been done here. You could also give another command that's gonna change a different file. When you use two different tabs, two different agents, make sure that they are both working on different files and not the same file, because that will cause conflict. So yeah, so that's really helpful. I'm gonna stop this. totally made this, but so yeah, so those are some of the new features. You can also use bugbot and background, but that will be a little bit more complicated, and we don't have enough time to show those things. So probably in a different session. But yeah, give it access to MCP tools, rules memory I've already showed. You can also index the documents if you're working on an internal project and we have some documentation. You can index that here as well to give the agent more context of your repository or your documentation. And then yeah, you can enable the background agent from here if you want. Currently, I have the privacy mode on, so it's not going to be enabled for me. But I think those are the quick tips. There's a lot more, but given the interest of time, yeah, I think those are the most impactful ones I could probably think of.
Yeah. I mean,
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's awesome stuff, Trey. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, so I think like yeah, we've almost at the time, like almost extra 10 minutes as well. So thanks a lot, Trey. So yeah,
yeah,
please feel to reach out to me and Trey. So to talk about more AI agents and also about the codes as well. And we'll wrap this out right now. And thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, it was wonderful.
thank you everyone.